welcome to the 2021 Spring Commencement of Cuyahoga Community College. My name is Tom Lyon, Assistant Professor Emeritus, History and Political Science, and I have the honor of serving as the Faculty Marshal for this virtual celebration. It is my pleasure to welcome the Reverend Dr. Terry Webb, pastor of the Christian Unity Baptist Church, who will offer the invocation. This will be followed by the playing of the national anthem by acclaimed trumpeter and Tri-C alum Dominic Farinacci, who now serves as the director of the Tri-C Jazz Fest Academy.
We ask, dear God, that you continue the work you have started in each student to stoke the fire of determination that keeps them on the road to sustained success. May God continue to grant you all the grace to stay faithful to your commitments and confident in your ability to accomplish all your life goals. Most gracious, most merciful God, who walks beside us all of our lives, we pray that you continue to let us all be beacons of hope and promise to a broken world, a world in need of each of you, a world that is waiting on you to succeed because you can and you will. Amen.
Good evening, and welcome to your much-deserved commencement of the Cuyahoga Community College class of 2021. I would like to thank Dr. Terry Webb for the invocation. I am grateful also to Tom Lyon, our faculty marshal and assistant professor emeritus of history and political science from the Western campus, and to Dominic Farinacci for his moving rendition of our national anthem. It is my honor to join you, your family, and friends in recognizing this landmark moment in your life. I am delighted to acknowledge your teachers and staff who are here to celebrate with you. Now there are 3 points I want to convey that hopefully will instill lasting pride in your achievement. First, I want to congratulate you for achieving your academic goals and for persevering through the extreme test of the global pandemic. You will be remembered as a group that confronted challenge head-on, remaining steadfast in your commitment to educational excellence. Second, you will be honored also as the class earning the highest number of degrees and certificates in the history of the institution, over 4,600. And third, thank you for inspiring us to move at warp speed to transform teaching methodology, mostly to a virtual format, without sacrificing the quality of your experience. In 2016, First Lady Michelle Obama said to the graduates of the City College of New York, "It is important for you to understand that your experience facing and overcoming adversity is actually one of your biggest advantages." Now, you may not realize it, but the past year has given you this advantage, providing an invaluable lesson that will serve you steadfastly as you continue at a four-year institution, enter the workforce, or face life's ebbs and flows. I am so very proud of you and humbled by your extraordinary commitment to yourself, your family, and your college, Cuyahoga Community College. Thank you for choosing Tri-C. Now, in just a few minutes, you will hear from Dr. Robert Johnson, Chair of the Joint Faculty Senate Council and Professor of Counseling, and our Provost, Dr. Karen Miller. Both are eager to congratulate you on your accomplishment. We are privileged this evening to bestow honorary degrees upon two distinguished members of the community, Ms. Beth Mooney, retired Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of KeyCorp, and Mr. Tim Tramble, President and CEO of the St. Luke's Foundation. Both of these individuals have been champions of higher education in Northeast Ohio and steadfast in their commitment to the college and the students we serve. You will hear more about these prominent individuals later in the program. And now, to begin our celebratory remarks, it is my privilege to introduce the chair of the Cuyahoga Community College Board of Trustees, Mr. Andrew Randall.
Good evening. On behalf of the Cuyahoga Community College Board of Trustees, welcome to our college commencement for spring 2021. I speak for my colleagues on the board, Helen Forbes Fields, Vice Chair, Ann Frangos, David Heller, the Reverend Corey Jenkins, Phoebe Lee, Geraldine Presti, Victor Ruiz, and John Scory, in saying this evening represents one of the many reasons we are proud to serve this institution. This evening is all about you. I congratulate you for your achievement of completing your associate degrees or certificates. You have persevered through some of the most challenging times, and now you are seeing the results of your efforts. So many possibilities await you, and we are committed to helping more of your classmates join you as alumni of this college. Our congratulations and best wishes follow you to your next endeavor. Now I'd like to ask Dr. Alex Johnson, our president, to return to introduce our student speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Randall. It is now my honor to introduce Julie Marie Wetzel, our student speaker, who is representing the entire graduating class. Julie is graduating summa cum laude with an Associate of Arts degree focused in art therapy. She also plans to receive a Creative Arts Certificate in art therapy. Julie graduated from Cloverleaf High School and the Medina County Career Center in spring 2019 and began attending Tri-C the following fall. While at Tri-C, Julie was the recipient of 3 scholarships, was in the honors program, and held an office in the Chi Omega chapter of Phi Theta Kappa at the Western Campus. She served as the president of Tri-Cities chapter of Circle K International, has been an officer in the Tri-C Art Club, and has participated in the InterVarsity Christian Fellowship at the college as well. Julie plans to transfer to a four-year institution in the fall with the goal to eventually earn a master's degree. It is now my pleasure to welcome Julie to the lectern.
Good evening, class of 2021 graduates, faculty, staff, and guests. My name is Julie Wetzel, and it is an honor to represent the class of 2021 as the student commencement speaker. I'd like to thank God for allowing us to be here today to celebrate our accomplishments together. I'd like to thank Tri-C for a wonderful 2 years, in addition to the professors, mentors, and staff who have guided me and the rest of the class of 2021 along our journey that led us to be here today. Thank you to my family, friends, and others for their support as well. The class of 2021. This is an outstanding group of people. Les Brown once said, "You must tell yourself, no matter how hard it is or how hard it gets, I'm going to make it." This quote represents the class of 2021 quite well. When we started pursuing our education at Tri-C, we did not know what was to come. A global pandemic struck, alongside civil and social unrest, sparking conversations about equity, equality, and justice. Perhaps you have lost a loved one, a job, or the lost opportunity of celebrating a wedding or school-related event. Yet, we transitioned to remote learning, learned how to navigate Zoom and WebEx, and learned to use our unmute button before we speak. We reconstructed our day-to-day lives almost entirely from inside our homes. Even though we were socially distanced, we were not isolated. We found connection. How many community murals have you seen painted on buildings and streets within this past year? How many of you have made a TikTok? How many of you picked up a hobby or adopted a pet? It would have been easy among all that has been thrown at us to walk away and quit, but we didn't give up. We found light in the darkness. We pushed through to the end, and that is something that we should be very proud of. Let's give ourselves a round of applause. Our resiliency through these unpredictable times demonstrates our leadership and character. We are all leaders in this sense. I encourage you to take your leadership qualities wherever your next chapter is and push further. Break your boundaries. As the legendary David Bowie once said, always go a little further into the water than you feel you're capable of being in. Go a little bit out of your depth, and when you don't feel that your feet are quite touching the bottom, you're just about in the right place to do something exciting. We have all had our feet not quite touching the bottom this year. We have all been through the good and the bad. As Bowie instructed, let's continue to push our boundaries and strive for our maximum potential to reap the harvest of more success, proving that we can endure anything. Today's accomplishment is a great chapter in our lives. Let's go out into this world and start a new one. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Julie, for your inspiring remarks. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Robert Johnson, Professor of Counseling and the Chairperson of the Joint Faculty Senate Council, to join me at the other lectern.
Dr. Johnson, it is my pleasure to recommend two distinguished members of the community for the honorary degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, Beth E. Mooney and Timothy L. Tramble, Sr. Beth Mooney is the retired chairman and chief executive officer of Key Corp. Throughout her 40-year career in financial services and banking, Ms. Mooney has actively partnered with community nonprofits and educational institutions to promote economic development and support education throughout Northeast Ohio. A graduate of the University of Texas, she received an MBA from Southern Methodist University in 2006. Ms. Mooney joined Key Corp as Vice Chair of Key Community Bank, becoming Chair and CEO of Key Corp in 2011. Ms. Mooney has championed local education and workforce training, allowing Key Bank to become a valued partner in many projects with Tri-C. Examples include Key Bank's investment in the Key Bank Public Safety Education Training Initiative, allowing Tri-C to expand and enhance public safety education and training programs. Key Bank is also a major sponsor of the annual Presidential Scholarship Luncheon and has been integral in growing Tri-C's Jazz Fest into a destination festival. Numerous organizations have recognized Beth Mooney for her professional and community work, including Forbes magazine, one of the world's 100 most powerful women, and Fortune magazine identified her as one of the top 50 most powerful women in business. She was also awarded the Women of Note Legacy Award from the Cleveland Foundation for her outstanding business, civic, and philanthropic leadership in Greater Cleveland. Dr. Johnson, I present to you Ms. Beth E. Mooney.
As president of Cuyahoga Community College, I confer upon Ms. Beth E. Mooney the honorary doctorate of humane letters with all the honors, rights, and privileges appertaining thereto. Upon the approval of the State of Ohio and the Board of Trustees of Cuyahoga Community College District, this diploma is presented bearing the college seal in Cleveland, Ohio, on this 9th day of June, 2021. I am now honored to invite Ms. Mooney to offer brief remarks.
First, I want to begin by extending a sincere and heartfelt congratulations to all of today's graduates and the family, friends, and mentors who proudly stand beside them and have lifted them up on their journey. For more than 2 decades, lifting community members on their journeys to earn college credentials and learn new skills has also been at the core of Key Bank and Tri-C's partnership. Together, we've worked side by side to create more prosperous communities for all, while supporting diversity, equity, and inclusion across our region and in our workforce. This partnership has empowered more people of color and women to enter into public safety careers, increased graduation rates, and built a more diverse pipeline of workers who can meet the demands of our region and of our future. We also expanded opportunities for our youth to experience the arts and provided access to education for the Hispanic population and other community members. And this is just a snapshot into what is possible when community leaders come together with transformational resources to support those with the dream, drive, and dedication to move forward. Whether we're in an economic downturn or a fiscal boom, the Key Bank and Tri-C team never quit. After all, Tri-C's simple but life-changing promise is Tri-C, where futures begin. And it is not lost on me that you never quit either. To be graduating on the heels of 2020, a year with countless challenges and obstacles, it's not lost on me or anyone here the immense and unique barriers you likely faced to arrive here today. And despite them all, you didn't quit. Your grit and determination have earned you this remarkable achievement. Enjoy it. Take a victory lap, but make no mistake, with great opportunity also comes an obligation. You are now part of a critical response team because you are the future of our communities. Our caregivers, servant leaders, designers, creators, thinkers, and innovators, the cornerstones and game changers who will advance safety, healing, prosperity, and growth for us all. And as a graduate of Tri-C, you have both the opportunity and the obligation to lead us forward to a better, brighter future. And you have the opportunity and the obligation to carry as you climb, so that all who follow are inspired to dream, to stretch, and to achieve. As a graduate of Tri-C, you are the difference makers and the future shapers, and it is my honor to celebrate each and every one of you today. And I want to offer a special congratulations to your loved ones who supported you along the way. And finally, I want to thank Tri-C and Dr. Alex Johnson for this honorary degree. It is a privilege to be associated with an institution and a team that I admire and respect, an institution and a team that are a regional treasure. So thank you, Tri-C, and congratulations to all of today's graduates.
And now, I am honored to recommend our second honorary degree recipient, Mr. Timothy L. Tramble, Sr. Timothy Tramble, Sr. currently serves as President and Chief Executive Officer of the St. Luke's Foundation, overseeing efforts to create health and social equity, not only in the neighborhoods surrounding St. Luke's Hospital, but throughout the region. Born in Cleveland, Mr. Tramble is a graduate of CMSD's East High School. He holds a bachelor's degree in environmental science from Central State University, as well as a Master of Public Administration and graduate certificate in nonprofit management from Cleveland State University. Prior to joining St. Luke's Foundation, Mr. Tramble served as Executive Director of Burton Bell Carr Development Incorporated, BBC, a nonprofit community development corporation dedicated to empowering residents and revitalizing underserved neighborhoods in the heart of Cleveland. Prior to joining the St. Luke's Foundation, Mr. Tramble served as Executive Director of Burton Bell Carr Development Incorporated, BBC, a nonprofit community development corporation dedicated to empowering residents and revitalizing underserved neighborhoods in the heart of Cleveland. During his tenure at BBC, Mr. Tramble's efforts in the central neighborhood allowed him to partner closely with Tri-City's Metropolitan Campus on a variety of projects and initiatives. BBC created the Neighborhood Landscape Enterprise, a social enterprise that not only employs neighborhood youth to beautify residential, vacant, and commercial properties, but provides a pathway for participants to enter Tri-City's Plant Science and Landscaping Technology program. BBC also partnered with the college on its Healthy Eating Initiative, with faculty and students from Tri-City's Dietetic Technology program providing instruction on healthy cooking and eating for local senior citizens. Dr. Johnson, I present to you Mr. Timothy L. Tramble, Sr.
As president of Cuyahoga Community College, I confer upon Mr. Timothy L. Tramble, Sr., the honorary doctorate of humane letters, with all the honors, rights, and privileges appertaining thereto. Upon the approval of the State of Ohio and the Board of Trustees of Cuyahoga Community College District, this diploma is presented bearing the college seal in Cleveland, Ohio on the 9th day of June, 2021. I am now honored to invite Mr. Tramble to offer brief remarks.
To the well-accomplished faculty and staff, to the distinguished Board of Trustees of Cuyahoga Community College, to the resilient and strong student body and graduating class of 2021, and to the Honorable Dr. Alex Johnson, I want to thank you all for this moment and thank you all for this extraordinary honor. This is more about this wonderful institution than it is about me. Who am I? I am an individual who was born and raised on East 81st in Superior, a graduate of CMSD East High School, an individual that made the choice at 18 years old that I was going to dedicate my career to my community and that I was going to live within my community, regardless of how successful I become and raise my family. So again, this says more about you than it does about me. Dr. Johnson, I want to thank you for being an extraordinary leader of Northeast Ohio. I want to thank you and the institution for being an extraordinary model of excellence for our country. And I want to thank you, Dr. Johnson, for being a leader, an African-American leader that uplift and support other African-American leaders. This is an example of that. To the graduating class, my message for you is that as you go out into your professional careers and you may experience a struggle, do understand that there is no formula for success without a struggle. So just remember that all it is doing, it is strengthening your armor, it is sharpening your sword, and it is giving you more tools in your toolbox to deal with the things that you will have to deal with in your inevitable success. And we know that with success comes more money and more problems. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mooney and Mr. Tramble. On behalf of a very grateful Cuyahoga Community College family, we thank you for giving us the privilege of recognizing you this evening. At this time, I invite Dr. Karen Miller, Provost and Executive Vice President, to the lectern.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson. It is now time to recognize our outstanding honors graduates. Each of them has demonstrated their commitment to academic achievement and excellence. The honor of cum laude is bestowed upon students who have maintained a grade point average of 3.5 to 3.69. The honor of magna cum laude is bestowed upon students who've maintained a grade point average of 3.7 to 3.89. The honor of summa cum laude is bestowed upon students who have maintained a grade point average of 3.9 to 4.0. This is our top honor category. At this time, we'd like to recognize all of our honor graduates for their outstanding achievement. I now invite Dr. Robert Johnson to present the candidates for graduation.
As chairperson of the Joint Faculty Senate and on behalf of the Cuyahoga Community College faculty, I am pleased to present to you the candidates for graduation who have been certified eligible to receive the Associate of Arts, Associate of Science, Associate of Applied Science, Associate of Applied Business, and the Associate of Technical Studies degrees, and those who have completed certificates of study. Faculty, I ask that you now congratulate our candidates for graduation.
I'd now like to ask Dr. Alex Johnson to step to the other lectern. As Provost and Executive Vice President for Access, Learning, and Success, and on behalf of the faculty and administration, I present to you the candidates for the Associate of Arts degree, Associate of Science degree, Associate of Applied Science degree, Associate of Applied Business degree, Associate of Technical Studies degree, and certificates of study.
On behalf of the Board of Trustees of the Cuyahoga Community College District and the State of Ohio, I accept the candidates for the Associate of Arts degree, the Associate of Science degree, the Associate of Applied Science degree, the Associate of Applied Business degree, the Associate of Technical Studies degree, and certificates of study. I now present our candidates for graduation.
Yasmin Abdul Khalik, Certificate of Proficiency, Practical Nursing. Suad Abu Aboid, Short-Term Certificate, Laboratory Phlebotomy. Darica Costa, Certificate of Proficiency, Ironworking. Joy Adamson, Post-Degree Certificate, Paralegal Studies. Aya Adami, Certificate of Proficiency, Fitness Specialist. Louis Aleshnik, Short-Term Certificate, EMT Basic. Elaine Anderson, Certificate of Proficiency, Computer Maintenance Technology. Richard Andino Jr., Certificate of Proficiency, Computer Maintenance Technology. Shelby Andrade, Certificate of Proficiency, Ironworking. Raul Andre, Short-Term Certificate, EMT Basic. Garrick Andrews, Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Emily Ansley. Short-term certificate. Court reporting technology. Jerry Armstrong. Certificate of Proficiency. Professional culinarian. Angelina Atherton. Certificate of Proficiency. Bookkeeping. Haley Ald. Short-term certificate. Court reporting technology. Kimberly Austin. Short-term certificate. Court reporting technology. Veronica Bacci. Certificate of Proficiency. Administrative specialist. Veronica Bacci. Short-term certificate. Event planning. Shauna Bailey. Short-term certificate. Event planning. Shauna Bailey. Certificate of Proficiency. Lodging Rooms Division. Noah Baston. Short-term certificate. Garden Center Management. Latoya Baines-Watkins. Certificate of Proficiency. Practical Nursing. Perry Banks. Certificate of Proficiency. Web Design and Development. Michael Barker. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Tiana Barnes. Short-term certificate. Medical billing. Keith Barthwalter. Certificate of Proficiency. Electronic engineering technology. Tiffany Bearden. Certificate of Proficiency. Practical nursing. Michael Bell. Short-term certificate. EMT basic. Zachary Bellis. Post-degree certificate. Paralegal studies. Hazia Belmonte. Short-term certificate. Conflict resolution. Safia Ben-Merzuga. Short-term certificate. Medical billing. Frank Bennett. Short-term certificate. Medical billing. Bria Burtz. Certificate of Proficiency. Practical nursing. Jeremy Bielinski. Certificate of Proficiency. Computer maintenance technology. Angela Blandino. Certificate of Proficiency. Medical assisting. Alexis Blue. Short-term certificate. Event planning. Emily Baccio. Short-term certificate. Phlebotomy. James Boer. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Andrea Borden. Short-term certificate. EMT basic. Sydney Boers. Post-degree certificate. Paralegal studies. Eric Bost. Short-term certificate. Auto maintenance and service. Joshua Boyce. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Jamie Boyd. Short-term certificate. Auto maintenance and service. Lashana Boyd. Short-term certificate. Event planning. Nicholas Brezovec. Certificate of Proficiency. Construction project management. Annalisa Brooks. Certificate of Proficiency. Practical nursing. Anthony Brown. Post-degree certificate. Cancer registrar. Ariel Brown. Short-term certificate. EMT basic. Jason Brown. Certificate of Proficiency. Automotive technology. Corey Buckhannon. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Hallie Budenhagen. Short-term certificate. Ophthalmic medical assisting. Paulina Buffogel. Certificate of Proficiency. Practical Nursing. Christopher Burrell. Short-Term Certificate. Auto Maintenance and Service. Lorenzo Burton. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Stephen Cafaro. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Chris Callahan. Short-Term Certificate. EMT Basic. Marissa Callahan. Short-Term Certificate. Conflict Resolution. Andrea Campbell. Post-Degree Certificate. Massage Therapy. India Campbell. Post-Degree Certificate. Cybersecurity. Thomas Carlo. Certificate of Proficiency. Criminal Justice Police Academy. Galen Carr. Certificate of Proficiency. Computer Maintenance Technology. Joshua Carroll. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Jacob Carter. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Lydia Siobanu. Short-Term Certificate. Health Unit Coordinator. Ashley Clark. Short-Term Certificate. EMT Basic. Mary Cleary. Post-Degree Certificate. Accounting CPA Preparation. Stacy Coffey. Post-Degree Certificate. Cancer Registrar. Eric Colantonio. Certificate of Proficiency. Electronic Engineering Technology. Garrett Cole. Certificate of Proficiency. Computer Maintenance Technology. Romy Coles Jr. Short-Term Certificate. Digital Video Editing. Lamont Colvin. Certificate of Proficiency. Payroll. Jared Cumming. Certificate of Proficiency. Electronic Engineering Technology. Christina Costanzo. Certificate of Proficiency. Graphic Design. Danielle Craig. Short-Term Certificate. Laboratory Phlebotomy. Quentin Craig. Certificate of Proficiency. Administrative Specialist. Randy Kreitz. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Anthony Crozier. Post-Degree Certificate. IT Programming and Development. Michael Cunningham. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Kevin Curry. Certificate of Proficiency. Computer Maintenance Technology. Nathaniel Dama. Certificate of Proficiency. Computer Maintenance Technology. Lamar Davis. Certificate of Proficiency. Building Maintenance Technician. Tony Davis. Short-Term Certificate. Health Unit Coordinator. Monique DeCluet. Short-Term Certificate. Child Care Administration. Stephanie DeLeon. Certificate of Proficiency. Payroll. Gasman Delialisai. Short-Term Certificate. CNC Machining. Ramada Dembele. Certificate of Proficiency. Construction Project Management. Catherine Dennard. Certificate of Proficiency. Bookkeeping. Elizabeth Diaz. Certificate of Proficiency. Medical Assisting. Noel Diaz. Certificate of Proficiency. Optical Technology. Austin DiBiasio. Certificate of Proficiency. Automotive Technology. Austin DiBiasio. Short-Term Certificate. Auto Maintenance and Service. Scott Dix. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Samuel Dixon. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Krina Andrea Debrila. Certificate of Proficiency. Construction Project Management. Holly Dolajol. Short-term certificate. Film and Media Arts Editing. Melissa Doman. Certificate of Proficiency. Medial Administration Specialist. Melissa Doman. Short-term certificate. Microsoft Office Specialist. Jessica Donahoe. Short-term certificate. Medical Billing. Christine Dranowski. Certificate of Proficiency. Medical Assisting. Ibrahim Drissi. Certificate of Proficiency. Computer Maintenance Technology. Aaron Dubois. Certificate of Proficiency. Graphic Design. Dimitri Duggan. Short-term certificate. Conflict Resolution. Rihanna Durham. Short-term certificate. Laboratory Phlebotomy. Michael Dysert. Short-term certificate. Auto Maintenance and Service. Corey Ebersberger. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Benjamin Eckroad. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Marissa Eink. Certificate of Proficiency. Computer Maintenance Technology. Donald Ellis Jr. Post-degree certificate. Purchasing and Supply Management. Catrice Ellis Williams. Certificate of Proficiency. Bookkeeping. Patricia Elton. Certificate of Proficiency. Practical Nursing. Stuart Engelhart. Post-degree certificate. Paralegal Studies. Amanda Erickson. Short-term certificate. Laboratory Phlebotomy. Maria Escalante. Certificate of Proficiency. Optical Technology. Stephen Evans. Short-term certificate. EMT Basic. John Ferranda. Certificate of Proficiency. Payroll. Michael Farrar. Certificate of Proficiency. Computer Maintenance Technology. Stephen Fender. Short-term certificate. EMT Basic. Yoko Farrell. Short-term certificate. Laboratory Phlebotomy. Kelsey Finnan. Post-degree certificate. Paralegal Studies. Michelle Fisher McKnight. Certificate of Proficiency. Bookkeeping. Alexis Flowers. Short-term certificate. Medical Billing. Tiffany Foster. Certificate of Proficiency. Payroll. Goldie Friedlander. Short-term certificate. Medical Billing. Jared Fritz. Short-term certificate. EMT Basic. Dane Gaynor Sr. Certificate of Proficiency. Computer Maintenance Technology. Carlos Galarza Jr. Short-term certificate. Auto Maintenance and Service. Tammy Gale. Certificate of Proficiency. Pharmacy Technician. Stephen Galvin. Certificate of Proficiency. Automation Maintenance. Stephen Galvin. Short-term certificate. Welding. Juan Carlos Gamarra. Certificate of Proficiency. Payroll. Leroy Garrett Jr. Certificate of Proficiency. Construction Project Management. Vitalina Gaydarzi. Certificate of Proficiency. Payroll. Ryan Godfrey. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. James Godshall. Short-term certificate. EMT Basic. Almando Gonzalez. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Cole Greenaway. Short-term certificate. EMT Basic. Mariah Griga. Certificate of Proficiency. Lodging Rooms Division. Mariah Griga. Short-term certificate. Event Planning. John Guerra. Post-degree certificate. Cybersecurity. Taylor Gump. Certificate of Proficiency. Bookkeeping. David Haas. Certificate of Proficiency. Paramedic. David Haas. Short-term certificate. EMT Basic. Brianna Hannum. Short-term certificate. EMT Basic. Nate Harkleroad. Certificate of Proficiency. Machine Tools. Bailey Harley. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Curtis Harris. Post-degree certificate. Cybersecurity. Tanya Hartman. Short-term certificate. Medical billing. Carla Havern. Certificate of Proficiency. Professional baking. Ashley Hawkins. Short-term certificate. Conflict resolution. John Hayes. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Frederick Henderson. Certificate of Proficiency. Professional culinarian. Austin Henthorne. Certificate of Proficiency. Food and beverage operations. Jillian Havasi. Certificate of Proficiency. Electronic engineering technology. Matthew Higginbotham. Short-term certificate. EMT Basic. Dominic Hogue. Certificate of Proficiency. Criminal Justice Police Academy. Andreas Hobbs. Short-term certificate. Auto Maintenance and Service. Tanya Hall. Post-degree certificate. Cancer Registrar. Cassandra Holler. Certificate of Proficiency. Professional culinarian. Kelly Horn. Certificate of Proficiency. Sterile processing and distribution. Jock Heron. Certificate of Proficiency. Bookkeeping. Rebecca Huffman. Certificate of Proficiency. Computer-aided drafting. Marina Hughley. Certificate of Proficiency. Medical assisting. Anna Hugo. Post-degree certificate. Cybersecurity. Riley Hunt. Short-term certificate. EMT Basic. Chelsea Hunt. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Emily Mars. Certificate of Proficiency. Bookkeeping. Ashley Jackman. Certificate of Proficiency. Interior Decorator. Cassandra Jackson. Certificate of Proficiency. Lodging Rooms Division. Cassandra Jackson. Short-term certificate. Event Planning. Jayla Jacobs. Certificate of Proficiency. Practical Nursing. Jacob Jacobson. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Dana James. Short-term certificate. Court Reporting Technology. Danica James. Short-term certificate. Medical billing. Alia Janmi. Short-term certificate. Phlebotomy. Bethany Jogan. Short-term certificate. EMT Basic. Alexis Johnson. Certificate of Proficiency. Medical Assisting. Beverly Johnson. Short-term certificate. 3D Animation. Lorenzo Johnson. Short-term certificate. CNC Machining. Unique Johnson. Short-term certificate. Chemical Dependency. Michael Jones. Certificate of Proficiency. Automation Maintenance. Samantha Jones. Certificate of Proficiency. Pharmacy Technician. Tyler Jones. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. William Jones. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Carissa Just. Certificate of Proficiency. Graphic Design. Marta Kalinowska. Short-term certificate. Mobile app development. David Camwila. Certificate of Proficiency. Computer maintenance technology. Kevin Carasy. Short-term certificate. Web application development. Kevin Carasy. Post-degree certificate. Net programming. Brandon Casper. Certificate of Proficiency. Computer maintenance technology. Diane Kavalchek. Short-term certificate. Conflict resolution. Tanisha Kia. Short-term certificate. Conflict resolution. Eli Cairns. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Edward Kibe. Short-term certificate. EMT Basic. Jasmine Kimbrough. Certificate of Proficiency. Medical Assisting. Lawrence King III. Short-term certificate. CNC Machining. Pamela Kirks. Certificate of Proficiency. Practical Nursing. Sean Kirsch. Short-term certificate. EMT Basic. Jason Kita. Certificate of Proficiency. Dietary Management. Donald Kittle. Certificate of Proficiency. Bookkeeping. LaShanta Knowles. Short-term certificate. Web application development. Frank Konovsek. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. James Kuzer. Short-term certificate. Game Design. Diana Kostos. Certificate of Proficiency. Bookkeeping. Benjamin Coal. Short-term certificate. EMT Basic. Matthew Cowton. Certificate of Proficiency. Industrial Welding. Amanda Lalonde. Certificate of Proficiency. Bookkeeping. Sean Lambert. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Joshua Leisure. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Brandon Lau. Short-term certificate. Auto Maintenance and Service. Joshua Lee. Certificate of Proficiency. Bookkeeping. Francesca Leonardo. Certificate of Proficiency. Medical Assisting. Ona Luka. Post-degree certificate. Paralegal Studies. Vitaly Levitsky. Post-degree certificate. Data Analytics. Benita Lewis Smith. Short-term certificate. Health Unit Coordinator. Yuri Linen. Certificate of Proficiency. Electronic Engineering Technology. Sarah Lippert. Short-Term Certificate. Landscape Contracting. Brandon Lisk. Short-Term Certificate. Auto Maintenance and Service. Mark Little II. Short-Term Certificate. Auto Maintenance and Service. Morgan Lorenz. Short-Term Certificate. Court Reporting Technology. Matthew Loy. Short-Term Certificate. Auto Maintenance and Service. Matthew Loy. Certificate of Proficiency. Automotive Technology. Anna Love. Short-Term Certificate. Medical Billing. Michaela Likens. Certificate of Proficiency. Professional Baking. Etanique Malcolm. Certificate of Proficiency. Electronic Engineering Technology. Mitchell Malinowski. Short-Term Certificate. CNC Machining. Rommel Mignana Henderson. Short-Term Certificate. Welding. Samantha Mancuso. Short-Term Certificate. EMT Basic. Jacqueline Mann. Short-Term Certificate. Voice Writing. Kevin Mansell. Short-Term Certificate. Auto Maintenance and Service. Kevin Mansell. Certificate of Proficiency. Automotive Technology. Krishna Maratha. Certificate of Proficiency. Medical Assisting. Jason March. Certificate of Proficiency. Paramedic. Alexander Markham. Certificate of Proficiency. Construction Project Management. Alicia Marrero. Certificate of Proficiency. Practical Nursing. Jocelyn Martin. Certificate of Proficiency. Graphic Design. Carter Maxon. Certificate of Proficiency. Mechatronics. Brittany Mays Burton. Short-Term Certificate. Event Planning. Nicholas McDaniel. Short-Term Certificate. EMT Basic. Brianna McKee. Certificate of Proficiency. Food and Beverage Operations. Liam McMillan. Certificate of Proficiency. Computer Maintenance Technology. John McMullen. Post-Degree Certificate. Purchasing and Supply Management. Joseph Meadows. Post-Degree Certificate. Accounting CPA Preparation. Alexander Meyer. Certificate of Proficiency. Automotive Technology. Alexander Meyer. Short-Term Certificate. Auto Maintenance and Service. Eric Melendez. Certificate of Proficiency. Automotive Technology. Jacob Miller. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Zariah Mitchell. Post-Degree Certificate. IT Programming and Development. Tyler Moaning. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Keith Money. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Aaron Moore. Certificate of Proficiency. Plant Science and Landscape. Julia Morris. Short-Term Certificate. Laboratory Phlebotomy. Mercedes Moser. Short-Term Certificate. EMT Basic. Davian Mosley Wesley. Short-Term Certificate. Welding. Derek Mosen. Short-Term Certificate. Auto Maintenance and Service. Shatika Moss. Certificate of Proficiency. Tax Preparation. Brianna Mullen. Post-Degree Certificate. Paralegal Studies. Surinat Mumuni. Short-Term Certificate. Laboratory Phlebotomy. Adam Murphy. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Dawn Neal. Short-Term Certificate. Microsoft Office Specialist. Dawn Neal. Certificate of Proficiency. Administrative Specialist. Kevin O'Brien. Certificate of Proficiency. Bookkeeping. Kennedy O'Hara Gilbert. Certificate of Proficiency. Bookkeeping. John Alexic. Short-Term Certificate. Landscape Contracting. Stephen Ollinger. Certificate of Proficiency. Automation Maintenance. Cheryl Ontel Silverman. Certificate of Proficiency. Professional Baking. Zachary O'Rourke. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Michelle Orr. Certificate of Proficiency. Food and Beverage Operations. Tatiana Osipenko. Certificate of Proficiency. Bookkeeping. Artur Ostrich. Short-Term Certificate. Auto Maintenance and Service. Kristen Overly. Short-Term Certificate. Microsoft Office Specialist. Catherine Pacheco. Post-Degree Certificate. Accounting CPA Preparation. Lisbeth Pacheco. Certificate of Proficiency. Bookkeeping. Dhanashri Pachorkar. Certificate of Proficiency. Dietary Management. Michael Perry. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Tracy Pastor. Certificate of Proficiency. Medial Administration Specialist. Bhumi Patel. Certificate of Proficiency. Medial Administration Specialist. Yinal Patel. Short-Term Certificate. Laboratory Phlebotomy. Priyanka Patel. Certificate of Proficiency. Bookkeeping. Frederick Paul. Short-Term Certificate. Medical Billing. Danielle Peoples. Short-Term Certificate. EMT Basic. Michael Peters. Certificate of Proficiency. Construction Project Management. Ryan Peterson. Certificate of Proficiency. IT Support Professional. Ryan Peterson. Short-Term Certificate. Cisco. Denise Phillips. Short-Term Certificate. Child Care Administration. Stephanie Pierzynski. Certificate of Proficiency. Payroll. Jazzline Polo. Short-Term Certificate. Laboratory Phlebotomy. Ariel Powell. Short-Term Certificate. Conflict Resolution. Mershade Powell. Short-Term Certificate. Cisco. Mershade Powell. Certificate of Proficiency. IT Support Professional. Robert Pratt. Short-Term Certificate. Mobile App Development. Monique Pritchard. Certificate of Proficiency. Lodging Rooms Division. Gregory Prohaska. Certificate of Proficiency. Construction Project Management. Jeffrey Przakaki. Post-Degree Certificate. Data Analytics. John Radvansky III. Short-Term Certificate. Mobile App Development. Michael Raffay. Certificate of Proficiency. Food and Beverage Operations. Susanna Ramadani. Certificate of Proficiency. Optical Technology. Stephen Randby. Certificate of Proficiency. Bookkeeping. Richard Rapone. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Jeff Rath. Short-Term Certificate. EMT Basic. Janice Rayner. Certificate of Proficiency. Bookkeeping. Andrew Reeves. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Lexus Rentschler. Certificate of Proficiency. Professional Culinarian. Grace Restifo. Certificate of Proficiency. Medical Assisting. Dominic Rigdon. Short-Term Certificate. Auto Maintenance and Service. Barbara Rivers. Short-Term Certificate. Medical Billing. Joseph Robb. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Connor Roberts. Certificate of Proficiency. Computer Maintenance Technology. Andre Robison. Certificate of Proficiency. Computer Maintenance Technology. Amanda Rodriguez Maria. Certificate of Proficiency. Professional Culinarian. Angeles Rodriguez. Short-Term Certificate. EMT Basic. Javen Rosado. Certificate of Proficiency. Automotive Technology. William Rosenberg. Certificate of Proficiency. Computer Maintenance Technology. Alexis Ross. Short-Term Certificate. Building Construction. Jacob Runyon. Certificate of Proficiency. Glazing. Brandon Rush. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Amanda Russell Satano. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Zachary Ryan. Short-Term Certificate. EMT Basic. Shirley Ritlowski. Short-Term Certificate. Microsoft Office Specialist. Shirley Ritlowski. Certificate of Proficiency. Entrepreneurial Technology. Layla Saavedra Lang. Short-Term Certificate. Landscape Contracting. William Samuelson. Short-Term Certificate. EMT Basic. Benjamin Santa Barbara. Short-Term Certificate. Auto Maintenance and Service. Dwayne Scarborough. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Emily Schaffner. Post-Degree Certificate. Paralegal Studies. Mason Schuster. Certificate of Proficiency. Computer Maintenance Technology. Jessica Scott. Certificate of Proficiency. Web Design and Development. Joseph Scott. Short-Term Certificate. EMT Basic. Kyle Scott. Certificate of Proficiency. Automotive Technology. Kyle Scott. Short-Term Certificate. Auto Maintenance and Service. Thomas Scully. Short-Term Certificate. Auto Maintenance and Service. Jordan Segura. Short-Term Certificate. Motion Graphics. John Sung. Certificate of Proficiency. Computer Maintenance Technology. Lorenzo Settles. Short-Term Certificate. 3D Animation. Allison Sewell. Short-Term Certificate. Digital Reporting and Transcription. Jacob Sharp. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Angela Sharp. Short-term certificate. Digital reporting and transcription. Christopher Sheridan. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Riam Showman. Certificate of Proficiency. Sterile processing and distribution. Danielle Shook. Certificate of Proficiency. Criminal Justice Police Academy. Zachary Shoup. Certificate of Proficiency. Stenowriting. Therese Schuffer. Post-degree certificate. Paralegal Studies. Earl Siedletsky. Certificate of Proficiency. Computer Maintenance Technology. Diana Silvis. Short-term certificate. Welding. Jasraj Singh. Post-degree certificate. IT Programming and Development. Virender Singh. Certificate of Proficiency. Computer Maintenance Technology. Taylor Sloan. Certificate of Proficiency. Professional Baking. Bianca Smith. Certificate of Proficiency. Personal Chef. Whitney Smith. Post-degree certificate. Paralegal Studies. Carl Snyder III. Short-term certificate. Auto Maintenance and Service. Susan Spahn. Certificate of Proficiency. Criminal Justice Police Academy. Tony Squires. Certificate of Proficiency. Medical Administration Specialist. Alexandra Stanley. Certificate of Proficiency. Computer Maintenance Technology. Katerina Starr. Certificate of Proficiency. Graphic Design. Laura Stasic. Certificate of Proficiency. Voice Writing. Laura Stasic. Short-term certificate. Court Reporting Technology. Marley Steele. Short-term certificate. Court Reporting Technology. Michael Steele. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Amber Stir. Short-term certificate. Event Planning. David Stern. Short-term certificate. EMT Basic. Nathan Stiverson. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. John Stout. Short-term certificate. Web Application Development. Nathan Stroample. Short-term certificate. Motion Graphics. Zachary Striffeler. Short-term certificate. EMT Basic. Shirley Sultanfuss. Short-term certificate. Voice Writing. Gavin Swess. Short-term certificate. CNC Machining. Nicholas Taliaferro. Certificate of Proficiency. Computer Maintenance Technology. Nicholas Taliaferro. Short-term certificate. Cisco. Colleen Tass. Short-term certificate. Medical Billing. Amal Tay. Certificate of Proficiency. Optical Technology. Stephen Taylor. Short-term certificate. CNC Machining. Antonella Toma. Post-degree certificate. Paralegal Studies. Daniel Thompson. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Jonathan Tibbs. Certificate of Proficiency. Paramedic. Brian Tide Jen. Certificate of Proficiency. IT Support Professional. Tosh Tipton. Certificate of Proficiency. Industrial Welding. Taj Tipton. Short-Term Certificate. Welding Technology. Matthew Tomeko. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Debbie Lee Torres. Short-Term Certificate. EMT Basic. Isidro Torres. Certificate of Proficiency. Operating Engineers. Maria Paula Torres Herrera. Certificate of Proficiency. Payroll. Joseph Toda. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Patricia Trella. Post-Degree Certificate. Cancer Registrar. Suzanne Trepau. Post-Degree Certificate. Paralegal Studies. Edward Trebsch II. Certificate of Proficiency. Mechatronics. Cosmin Triff. Certificate of Proficiency. Computer Maintenance Technology. Jody Tristano. Post-Degree Certificate. Cancer Registrar. Shardai Turner. Short-Term Certificate. EMT Basic. Nicholas Urso. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Jameson Van Dre. Certificate of Proficiency. Criminal Justice Police Academy. Nathan Vaitnik. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Miriam Vasquez. Certificate of Proficiency. Payroll. Astrid Villanueva. Short-Term Certificate. EMT Basic. David Vincel. Certificate of Proficiency. Automation Maintenance. Kevin Voracek. Certificate of Proficiency. Practical Nursing. Mai Vu. Short-Term Certificate. 3D Animation. Ashley Walker. Short-Term Certificate. Medical Billing. Marcos Walker. Certificate of Proficiency. 3D Digital Design and Manufacturing. Michelle Ward. Certificate of Proficiency. Payroll. David Warren. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Emmanuel Watson. Short-Term Certificate. Game Design. Michelle Watson. Certificate of Proficiency. Legal Administrative Specialist. Nathan Wislow. Short-Term Certificate. EMT Basic. Caleb Weinman. Certificate of Proficiency. Computer Maintenance Technology. Amanda Wenzicki. Short-Term Certificate. Game Design. Heather Wicks. Short-Term Certificate. EMT Basic. Donovan Williams. Short-Term Certificate. CNC Machining. Nancy Williams. Post-Degree Certificate. Paralegal Studies. Shinelle Williams. Short-Term Certificate. Phlebotomy. Michael Wilmich. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Alessica Wilson. Certificate of Proficiency. Plant Science and Landscape. Deanne Wilson. Post-Degree Certificate. Cancer Registrar. Jamaria Wilson. Short-Term Certificate. EMT Basic. Braden Witham. Certificate of Proficiency. Ironworking. Brianna Ray. Certificate of Proficiency. Practical Nursing. Veronica Wool. Certificate of Proficiency. Fitness Specialist. Carrie Yarber. Certificate of Proficiency. Medical Assisting. Seema Yildiz. Short-Term Certificate. Laboratory Phlebotomy. Zachary Yoho. Short-Term Certificate. Cisco. Christine Zeal. Post-Degree Certificate. Paralegal Studies.
What a thrill it is to celebrate the success of so many students. I am so tremendously proud of each and every one of you. It is now my pleasure to officially recognize all of our candidates for graduation. By the power and authority invested in me by the Board of Trustees and the State of Ohio, and in recognition of your having met all the requirements of the degrees and certificates for which you are candidates, I pronounce you graduates of Cuyahoga Community College with all the rights and privileges thereof. At this time, please transfer your tassel from right to left in keeping with the graduation ritual, symbolizing the completion of your graduation requirements. Again, congratulations to all of our graduates. Please give yourselves a round of applause.
Congratulations, everyone.
I now ask our board student scholar, Miss Abba Paintseal, to come to the lectern to lead our new graduates in reciting the Cuyahoga Community College Alumni Pledge.
Fellow graduates, today you are a proud member of the Cuyahoga Community College Alumni Association. Please repeat with me as we pledge our commitment to advance the college's mission and serve the community. You will find the Alumni Pledge on the screen. As I graduate, I know that Cuyahoga Community College will always be an important part of my life, and I will not forget my responsibility to ensure the future of this great institution. I am a proud graduate of Cuyahoga Community College. Please wear your alumni pin proudly, and thank you for your commitment to Cuyahoga Community College. Now I will ask Dr. Johnson to return to the lectern. Thank you.
Once again, I would like to recognize the graduates and their families and acknowledge the service to our country from our retired and active military members. Your efforts during this time have been extraordinary. I also wish to recognize the college-wide commencement team led by Angela Johnson, the media services team, and the Metropolitan Campus President, Dr. Denise McCory, and her colleagues for planning and hosting this 2021 virtual commencement, as well as our in-person ceremonies. I would like to acknowledge the hard work and commitment of the faculty and the collaborations of the staff in producing our 2021 graduates. At this time, I would like to welcome Reverend Dr. Terry Webb to return to the lectern to offer the benediction. Thank you.
Dear God, please bless and guide our graduates as they reach this milestone and as they chart new courses in their personal and professional lives. May God, who began this good work in each of you, carry it through to completion, enabling you to use your talents to the fullest. May God give you the grace to continue to make wise choices and to be faithful to your commitments. Please have mercy on these graduates as they begin their professional journey journey. Grant them sustained successes. Please guide them to their destinies and show them the love that blesses and is a blessing. Please touch each of their hearts with joy that grants them peace. May they find strength in the excellence of their academic preparation. Continue to bless their lives from this day on with goodness and success. Please provide them with support systems and faith to stay true to their goals, to do what is right and good. Let these graduates use their education, training, and gifts wisely in service to others. Empower them to walk into the future with empathy, altruism, determination, faith, hope, and love, so that they may use their education and training for the betterment of their families, community, cities, state, and nation. May God bless and keep you all. Go out and live your dreams. It is not over, it is just commencing. Amen.